good YouTube? It's Adam from My Music Mogul. Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to go ahead and remake from scratch Metro Boomin, Futures, and Kendrick Lamar's Like That. The sample for this one is 162 beats per minute, and the track is produced by Metro Boomin. The song samples 2 songs, so let's go ahead and sample those and then get to the remake. First things first, we're gonna go ahead and set our tempo to automatic mode. This way when we bring in our samples, it'll make it real easy to find where we need to cut up the samples. So the first sample we're gonna bring in right here is Rodney and Joe Cooley's Everlasting Bass. Logic will analyze it. It found the proper tempo, so let's go ahead and find the spots where we need to chop up. So the first part we wanna edit is this first intro bit. So literally that first sort of quarter of a bar. That's the intro bit, so we're gonna chop that up. And then the next sample that we wanna take from, or next section we wanna take from the song, if we go over to bar 66. That section is the main part of the track. We're just gonna take 4 bars of that from bar 66. So we're gonna chop that up right there and right there. So to make things easy, because we are working with multiple samples, we're going to utilize tempo sets to go back and forth between different tempos within one session. So we're going to hit this little marker right over here, and we're going to go to tempo, and we're going to create a well, actually first let's go ahead and rename this set so we know which one it is. It's going to be called Everlasting Bass Sample, and we're going to create 2 new audio tracks, one of which will be for this sample and the other will be for this sample. Now we just got to make a mental note that this is a quarter bar in length, this first sample, and this sample right here is 4 bars in length. Just remember that because we'll need to get to that later. Next thing we're gonna do is create a new tempo set, and it's gonna be for our second sample that we're gonna bring in. It's an Eazy-E track, so I'm just gonna call it Eazy-E. And it is called Eazy Duz It. Once again, Logic did this thing and found the tempo. We're gonna go ahead and sample the beginning portion of this track as well.
He was once a thug from around the way. Easy.
So we're just gonna take the first 2 bars of this track as well. We'll save it for later, create a new audio track, and just copy that down. We can go ahead and mute this. We'll bring this back and just take away our sample tracks. We can always go back to it if we wanted to. That's why we created tempo sets. So we'll get rid of that and we'll create another new tempo set. And we're gonna call this the like that one. And we're gonna change the tempo to 100 and let's change the mode back to keep, and we'll change it to 162 beats per minute. Now, if you remember those numbers I told you earlier, we got to go ahead and fix them to a double time or half time. So the first one here was a quarter of a bar, so we got to stretch that to half a bar. The second sample, we got to stretch over to 8 bars. And the last sample was 2 bars, so we got to make this 4 bars in length. Now we are set. Let's get to that intro bit. So what we're going to do here is just take our audio and just start manipulating it. Let's duplicate that over, and then on the second part, it goes like this. All right, and then it goes into this sample right here. Let's just stretch this out. So right now it is not playing at the appropriate pitch. Let's go and adjust that. We're gonna take these 2 samples and pitch them down 1 semitone. So we're gonna select all of our regions. We're gonna go over to our inspector tab, go to transpose, and we're just gonna type in -1 to bring it down 1 semitone. Not done with the intro yet. We just got to layer up some sounds. We're going to go over to our media browser, and we're going to bring in a kit I recently dropped, the We Don't Trust You Deconstructed kit. And we're going to go to the organized by track list here. We're going to go to Like That, and we're just going to layer up some of the samples, drum samples from that intro bit. So we're going to start off with the crash. Let's go ahead and drag that in. We'll bring it into a quick sampler. And what we're gonna do here is basically every time there's a new hit, we're gonna bring in that crash. So right here, and we're just gonna follow along. So another one here, another one here, another one here, another one here, another one here. Let's duplicate that up until we get to here. So we got 1, 2, and then we have another one right over here. So it sounds like this. Let's make sure our quick sampler is set to 1 shot. The next thing we're gonna layer up is that hi-hat. So I'm gonna go over to my hi-hat here, bring that into a quick sampler. And once again, we're gonna create a pattern region. Very simple, just set it up to an 8-step. Last but not least, let's layer up that kick to make it a little bit more punchier. And all we're gonna do is take that crash and just line it up with the kick. It just brings out all those sounds a little bit more. Without, with. Just makes it a little bit punchier. Now moving along into the next section. So for this, we're gonna just take out a little bit of the bass. To leave a little bit more room for our kick here. I'm just gonna boost the highs a little bit as well. And then what we're gonna do is just bring in a little bit of distortion with Logic's Overdrive just to fatten this up a little bit. So I'm just gonna pull the tone all the way up and just bring down the drive a little bit. You know what we'll do? We'll copy that over to the intro as well. All right, so what we're gonna do is copy over the same hi-hat pattern. We're gonna bring in a crash here on the ones. So let's just do this. Something like that. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and match up the kick pattern here. All right, now let's go ahead and layer up that snare to make it a little bit punchier. Bring that into a quick sampler and we'll just draw a pattern region. And this one is really easy. Just put it on the 3. Now we've got to bring in a piano to layer up that bass line. We'll create a new software instrument track. We're gonna bring in Logic's Steinway Grand Piano right over here. And let's go ahead and draw in that pattern. All right, so there's our piano section. Now we're just gonna bring in that whistle. So what we're gonna do here at the end of this pattern, we're gonna end everything right, except the piano. We'll end everything right on the snare. So it's gonna go like this.
He was once a thug from around.
And we're gonna go back to our drum kit and we're gonna bring in that whistle. We're just gonna put it on the 4. Let's just bring in some reverb on this. We'll go to Logic's Chroma Reverb.
Was once a thug.
Just make this a little bit bigger. Something like that should be good.
He was once a thug.
All right, so now let's work on the next section. We're gonna go ahead and just move this over once again. I promise we'll get to that sample in a moment. And we're just gonna copy over all of this, just like that. Make sure that is lined up on the 1. So it's gonna copy that over. And we got to bring in a few more instruments to layer up the piano that we brought in. So we'll create a new software instrument track. We're going to go over to, let's first go to orchestral. We'll go to strings and we'll bring in the basses preset. I think our piano came a little bit early there. Let's go and just push that over. All right, so that sounds better. Let me just fix this over here as well. Now we're going to layer up these strings with a brass sound. So we're going to go over to create a new software instrument track. We're going to go over to Logic's Alchemy, and we're going to bring in a preset called Analog Silk. So here it is right here. And for the pattern, we're just going to copy down the same pattern, and it sounds like this. Except we don't need this stretched out. The only thing we're going to do on the sound, we're just going to take off the chorus. I'm just going to stretch up the release a bit. And then we're going to get into the next section, which brings in our next sample. So I'm just going to push this over to the side once again. I am going just to copy this part right here. So let's go ahead and just chop this up. Just that 2 bars right there. So we're going to take this. Oh, make sure it's all chopped up here as well. We're going to take all of that, copy that over, and we're just going to copy over that 4 times. Except we don't need the bass and strings in this section, so we're going to take that out. And now we're going to get to that Eazy-E sample. So we're going to take that, we're going to drag it into a quick sampler optimized once again. And for this one, we're going to leave it as is, and we're just going to go ahead and play it in live. But instead of playing it in live on a keyboard or on your actual keyboard on your computer, I'm just going to go ahead and draw it in with MIDI notes.
He was once at the he was once at the he was once at he was once at the he was once at the he was once at the he was once.
I'm just going to stretch that out a little bit. But it sounds like the samples overlapping each other. So we're going to open up Logic's Quick Sampler, and we're going to make sure that the polyphony is only set to 1 note. And that's sense, everything to like that. So what I'm gonna do right now off screen is mix it and arrange it. And when we come back, we'll take a listen to the final remake. So before we play back the final mix down, I did forget to add one track here. So let's do it together. And create a new software instrument track. We're gonna go over to Logic's ES1 synthesizer. We're gonna bring in this deep bass sound that happens at the end of this section. We'll go to deep bass and let's just draw it in initially. We'll create a new MIDI pattern and it just happens right at the end here. Right here. It's subtle, but it's there. I'm just gonna make this a little bit darker, pull up the drive a little bit, pull down the resonance. I'm gonna bring in a little bit of overdrive just to fatten it up, and I'm gonna bring in an EQ and take out a lot of the top end. I just wanna focus on that sub in it. And maybe I'll change the shape of the oscillator as well to a triangle. Makes it a little bit cleaner. So together it sounds like this. Maybe I'll take you from the halfway point. Now let's go ahead and play out the final remake. There's Metro Boomin feature and Kendrick Lamar's Like That, remade in Logic Pro from scratch. For your Logic Pro users out there, I'm gonna go ahead and save this entire session for you. Please add the downloadable link below this video. If you don't use Logic, I got your back as well. I'm gonna export all the MIDI stems, audio stems, of course include the drum kit that you heard in this remake. You can find that playback down below the like button as well. If you have any questions or just want to chat or have suggestions for future videos, let's talk down below. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Later. Peace.